So this is a subject that I'm very passionate about because there have been occasions where I have literally just been yelling at my spirit guides. And I've learned over the years that it never serves me well to be mad at the other side. So that's why I wanted you guys to take a closer look at the reasons why you might be backing away from the intuitive guidance that you're getting. Maybe you're getting intuitive messages and downloads during meditation. Maybe your gut is giving you these feelings and sensations that you should go a certain direction, and quite frankly, you just don't want to. So I wanted to ask you guys why you are backing away from that intuitive guidance, and to check yourselves and make sure that you're not being influenced by the dark. Number one, the dark likes to come at us through our ego. Do you care what people think? The dark is going to use this to its advantage, right? Do you feel ashamed or embarrassed in following this divine guidance? Are you afraid of rejection, scrutiny, fear of judgment, whatever? Well, we actually grow and evolve as souls by setting our ego aside. So I asked the other side why they work so hard to suppress my ego, and they said it's your ego that makes you weak. And in overcoming your ego, you become stronger and you strengthen your divine connection. Ego doesn't exist in the light. So just make sure your decisions aren't coming from a place of, worrying what other people are going to think. And another thing is I want people to make sure they're not coming from a place of pride, where maybe you look at your angels and you're like, I know better than you guys. Forget it. I know better than you. I don't need you guys telling me what to do. It's like, well, that's your pride. But it also feels good to be naughty. That rebellious, I'm going to be disobedient. They're telling me to go left. I'm going to go right instead. Ha ha. That's also your ego, just being kind of naughty. And disobedient. It can feel good to be naughty, so make sure you're not just, going the opposite direction just to spite them. Another thing is, what if your angels are harassing you about eating sugar? Maybe they're just riding you like Seabiscuit. Don't eat sugar, don't eat sugar, don't eat sugar. And then you ignore them and do it anyway. You're like, I can eat dessert if I want to. Leave me alone. And then maybe a year later, you bust out with diabetes. So you see how their direction was actually coming from a place of love and they were trying to help you, but you blew them off? Yeah, your angels are all-knowing. So just trust that they have your highest good in mind if they do ask you to do something like that. Trust that there's a good reason behind it, and divine strategy is your highest good, and it also results in soul's growth. So yeah, just know that. Another thing is free will. I've talked about the importance of free will in a lot of my videos, and how the divine is very, very respectful of human free will. But what if you use that against the divine? What if you sit there and you're like, well, I know the divine is really respectful of human free will, so woohoo! Christine Pavlina, exercising free will. Ha ha, I can do whatever I want. Nanny, 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 just try and come and get me, right? Well, am I exercising free will or am I exercising ego when I say that? Because what I'm doing is I'm using the divine's respect for free will against him. So I have actually crossed over from free will into abuse of power, which is coming from my ego. So at that point, I'm just power tripping. I'm just like, I have free will. Be careful. Gotta check yourself there as well. Do not use the divine's respect for free will against him. Not a good idea. Another thing is they want to make sure your decisions aren't based in fear, because overcoming fear is also how we're challenged as souls and also how we grow and evolve. So overcoming those fears, taking that leap of faith, taking those risks, seeing the forest through the trees, knowing that it might be short-term pain, long-term gain, right? Or if I can overcome my fear up front, I know that this will benefit me moving forward. So I need to see the bigger picture here and realize that the long-term, might be worth it for just short-term, like overcoming this fear. So make sure that your decisions aren't based in fear, because that's also coming from the dark. See what I mean? Okay, another thing is they don't want you settling. Your spirit guides are all about good, better, best. And they are trying to guide you to best. And a lot of times we don't see that because we, don't know everything. The other side is not in the habit of explaining themselves, right? They don't always explain why they're asking you to do what they are. They're asking you to have blind faith and trust, right? In your own intuition, in yourself, in them, etc. But they are worried about people settling because they are used to it. Maybe you're just used to your romantic partner, and you just don't know any better. And you're like, devil you know is better than the devil you don't, right? All right, I'm just gonna, stay in this relationship. It's too much work to break up. I don't want to deal with the pain of the separation and having, I don't want to, take the time to get to know somebody else. I'm just gonna stay in this relationship. Well, the other side isn't gonna want you to settle, especially if they are all-knowing and they can see that they have a better romantic partner for you. That's where you have to be really, really careful. They don't want you settling. So yeah, change can be really, really scary. But maybe you're just used to drinking that particular wine and then somebody gives you a different wine and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much better. It's like, see what I mean? It's like, you don't always know. So that's why you have to trust your intuitive guidance. It's like, all right, I kind of feel like the other side is taking care of me here. I have to trust the process. Another thing is the other side can be pretty demanding with their intuitive guidance, especially when it comes to inconvenience. If your angels have the bigger picture in mind, they're not always worried about how much work it takes to get there because they think it's worth it. So if what they're asking you to do is extremely inconvenient, like moving or something, packing up your stuff and moving, well, that's extremely inconvenient. That's a lot of work. So sometimes we'll back away from intuitive guidance just to try to avoid having to do all this work. Well, your angels are going to come forward and say, it's worth it. We know you like where you live, but it's worth it, that kind of thing. They're guiding you to a higher level of existence. So you just have to trust that that's the main goal. And that's what they have in mind is your highest good. But it is hard, if it involves a lot of work that you're just not really willing to do. It's tough. It's a challenge. Now, another thing, like I said, the other side is not in the habit of explaining themselves. Another thing is missing information. What if you don't have all the pieces, right? You're like, well, intuitively, I feel like I'm being asked to do this, but I don't know why, and it's kind of weird, and I don't really understand it. Well, that's where you just have to let go and trust, because you're not really the ones driving this car, right? You are, because you have free will, but a lot of times the other side will come through and start singing, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. That's where they want you to paddle, but then the current is also going to carry you. So that's their main goal is, you guys doing your part and meeting them halfway, and then they'll do their part and carry you to a higher level of existence. So they might not fill you in on all the details. It's like, well, this is our plan. We're going to do this, and that. They like blind faith and trust. They like it when you trust them. So yeah, you might not have all the puzzle pieces there. Another thing I just wanted to explain is that I view it like a pirate ship where your spirit guides are the ones with the periscope and they can see ahead, and your angels are all knowing. So they're the ones with the periscope. You're down below. You don't have the periscope. So you don't really know. You have to rely on your intuition, your connection to your higher self, your connection to your spirit guides, etc. for information, right? So you're kind of in a bit of a vulnerable spot there. But that's where you really do need to trust that they're the ones with the periscope and they can see everything and they know everything and they're not going to lead you astray. One of my favorite quotes from Pirates of the Caribbean is, "You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one." Yo ho ho. It's like we're on this pirate ship, and yes, your spirit guides are the ones with the periscope. So just know that and trust it. Now what happens when you just disagree? You're getting this intuitive download from the other side and you're just disagree with what they're asking you to do. You're like, I don't agree with it. I don't want to do that. No, no, and no. And by the way, I'm completely insulted by the request. No. Maybe what they're asking you to do is kind of ridiculous and you just disagree with it. Well, maybe give it some time. maybe give yourself a little bit more time to allow it to kind of sink in. Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, try to see if you can get any sort of added information in there. Maybe you're missing a little too much information and you just need a little bit more of a nugget, where maybe a fuzzy picture just becomes clearer later. So try to, sit on that for a while and see if you can get any more information if you just flat out disagree. Try to get your spirit guides to, have a nice open conversation with you on that one. Now, another thing is that the other side also has a very different view of money. They view money as green paper. Yeah, how many videos have I made complaining about how the other side is really good at spending my money, including having me stay in $400 a night hotels? Yeah, the other side is really good at spending my money, and they just don't view it the same way we do. They're just all like, you either trust us or you don't, and, whatever. Yeah, it's because it's the angelic realm. So they're all about, the universe, and they want us to trust that the universe is an abundant place as long as you're involved with truth and the light and concerned about helping humanity, and your heart is open to humanity and the collective, right? It's like they want you to utilize your power manifestation, right? And see yourself as a powerful individual. Well, yeah, their view of money is just as green paper, so that can be kind of an issue too if they're asking you to spend your money on stuff where you're like, what? Yeah. Personal experience right here. Another thing they wanted me to bring up was power. Maybe you just feel disempowered following divine guidance and you just want to get the power and control back. It's hard. It's hard giving up the power and control. It's nice to feel like you're in control of your life. And I think that's one of the things that I've really struggled with personally, is just feeling like living above my means is just kind of ridiculous, and it's not something that I'm really comfortable with. So that whole living above, what you make is just like, why is this happening in? It's like, okay, is this what we're doing right now? Okay, great. I know there's a good reason behind it, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to trust the process, but I'm not necessarily going to be thrilled about it. But that's why I made that video called Trusting God Can Save Your Life. Trusting God Can Change Your Life, right? Let's all be Pollyannas. Let's have a positive attitude, because optimism manifests. You actually bring to fruition that positive attitude, and the, everything, just giving up control and just allowing, just kind of surrendering to the process and surrendering to your intuition and just trusting yourself and trusting your angels, right? That's another way we grow and evolve as souls and strengthen our divine connection. So, yeah. So this is pretty much all I wanted to bring up, just kind of getting you guys to question a little bit, when you do want to back away from that intuitive guidance and you're kind of telling your spirit guides, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that, right? Just make sure you're not coming from a place of darkness. Make sure you're going towards the light, because that's where your angels, higher self, spirit guides, the divine live. And they do have your highest good in mind, and they are the ones with the periscope. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.